Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Refresh Point. My name is Ben, and as always, I'm joined by my constant co-host, Steve. Steve, how's it going?
It's good. We are headed into that really comfortable time of year. Really not relax, because we never relax. We're always spiking. But we're hanging out with our friends. We're getting to the beach arc, of every anime.
Yeah.
We'll reach that point.
Yeah. And the reason that we're spiking is that the beach art on the climax and the mats are sick.
Yes.
It's time to talk about some Bushi Road Summerfest action and a non-tournament focused Spike Corner after you shuffle your decks, tap or cut, and we'll get right into the refresh point with some breaking news. BSF Long Beach. Woot woots.
Yeah.
It happened.
So we have our first BSF out of the way.
Yeah. And as it turns out, whenever a bunch of travelers may or may not be in Japan, recovering from Japan, financially or physically, there may or may not be that many travelers to the Long Beach event from, past the West Coast.
Yeah, looks like the top was pretty dominated by, the great players in California.
It was a California-run tournament all the way through. Cannot stress enough, California, they won. Specifically, what is it? Randall Shizukatsu as well teamed up with Hung and Long Banda Saber to get the dub with SDS, Aluda, and Miku as their quint flavor of the day.
Yeah, the little Spring Fest. That's the lime that you squeeze into the drink, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a quint flavor.
Yeah.
And then in second, the Los Conquistadores, I think that's what the name was it's John, it's Jesse, I completely blanked on the last name, but honestly, I haven't looked at all of the posts in 2 weeks. So I'm honestly surprised I pulled as many names as I did. But regardless, that's just the names I happen to pull off the top of my head. But all the top four, as far as I recall, was just real California vibes.
Yeah.
That's why there's also, 2 Ruby decks here.
I think it's also worth pointing out that if you look at these top four, here's what you see without fail.
Okay.
2 very serious Spike decks.
All right.
And 1, I guess. And
wow.
Wow. Yeah. So,
I guess.
Yeah. Where it's
put some respect on the John Pura Ruby deck name.
Yeah. But it's not tier 1.
Yeah. Okay.
The other decks are Nino and Albudo, okay? So, if we're being really honest with ourselves, the Ruby deck is a class below. Not far.
Okay.
Not far.
All right. Okay. All right.
But you see it in all the top four. We have Kai Ramlethal in third.
Yeah.
The classic, how many climaxes can a man have in his one hand? And then another Ruby deck using the Crow combo, which
it's just 8x,
yeah, that's the 8x deck. So sandwiched with 2 very reasonable other decks. So kind of
trios.
Yeah,
we love trios.
I will point
Here's
this out.
Himeno Aki here. What a throwback. In the year of our Lord 2025, Himeno Aki, top of trios.
That team is spicy as hell.
Never left. KMD 8-bar.
It had Dragon Maid on its team too.
That deck just killed people. That's what happened.
And then their third deck is Shauna. That's the most awful.
And that deck didn't kill anybody. It just outlived them.
Yeah. So,
it probably did. It has a finisher.
Yeah, it's interesting to know. We have 4 quintuplet decks in the top 8. 4 different ones.
Yeah.
So
really,
we have Miku, Nino, Yotsuba, and Itsuki. So
varied times. It's a great time. A great time. shout outs to that Dragon Maid player who just shot people to death. That's what happened. Do you remember the 8-bar finisher?
It's like you can pick a number.
No,
it's
that's the choice one.
Yeah.
All right. So the bar one says, number 1, I have base 3 soul. So at the climax, I will have base 4 soul.
Yeah.
Now then, on attack, check the top. If it's a character, burn 1.
Yeah.
Great times. Combo, pay 1. When damage by this card is canceled, burn soul.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like a weird Musashi.
Yeah. You'll basically, and there's an assist that lets you rearrange the top 2
Yeah.
in main phase.
Right. So it's 4-3, 4-3, 4-3 with some 1s sprinkled in there.
Yeah, it really ought to be 3 1s, throughout the whole time. But you can't always fix everything.
No. I mean, you can fix one thing.
Yeah, you can fix one thing, maybe 2 things if they're both clean, and then
Well,
it
if
is
they're
what
both
it
clean,
is.
you're gonna trigger the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
anyway.
it's flip the top.
it's
It doesn't.
flip.
It doesn't mill.
I
It doesn't
I
mill.
got you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So what happens is that you'll either take all the 1s, block all the big stuff, and be fine, or you will get decapitated instantly.
Right.
And enough people have been decapitated, and/or Aki at 2 just still doing things.
Yeah.
Still around.
I mean, if you're at 3, that finisher's really hard to live. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, congrats to everybody who got top 8. 65 teams, big tournament. So,
yeah, absolutely. Massive.
Great turnout. We love to see it.
Congrats to everybody.
I will say this too, and this may be part of a growing trend. Where are the Hololive decks?
There's a Watame Marin.
There's 2 in the top
There's
8.
a Miko Sora.
But
Sora, yeah, Sora.
Yeah. It's like the funnest game of Weiss there is.
Yeah. Miko Sora, the real classic. Yeah.
Is the community going soft on Hololive? Do we think? Like, is the
No.
OCG pulling like Hololive players?
Well, nah. I mean,
Hololive-
Nikkei release, dude.
The Hololive participation at Worlds was terrible.
Oh, was it?
Terrible.
I did forget. I forgot the stat sheet. Yeah.
Yeah?
Was it in that like stat screen? I know there was like the bunny girl and the slime was like the big funnies.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Nino was also in that rep.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly,
Okay.
but I don't remember. I can't say for sure, but somebody had like let loose the idea that there were none.
At Worlds?
Yeah, there's got to be some.
There was. I mean, we can. Shout outs to Avis. We can go to Weiss Tea Time real quick.
So Avis has 3 Hololive players shown out of the players that she knows of.
3.
3.
Crazy work.
So that's like none in the top 8, none in the top 16. The first one is 25. So
Wow.
I don't.
Yeah, it's only 19 players unknown technically. I think I know one of the players that's unknown, and they weren't playing Hololive, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I don't know, man. Like maybe we're going through a historic de-hololiving of the meta.
Yeah, you think?
For the last couple years, Hololive has had such rampant participation in every event. Huge turnout in terms of like not cuts, but just like raw participation. And man, are we just seeing like a regression from that. It's interesting to me.
Okay.
I don't know if it's necessarily the OCG's effect, or if it's just people don't think it's good in the meta, or could just be that people are, moving to other stuff. It's not,
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Yeah. Could be anything.
There's a lot of things going on. Like Nikkei was a big bringer of players to some amount.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe maybe this is a sign that like the meta is kind of going past them. The finisher lineup for Hololive is not good. It's not. And so they've kind of been like relying on a finisher from 4 years ago for a pretty good while.
I mean, yeah, good old Marine. Nothing beats that.
And so it's like, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Marine, but it's just maybe the package around it just isn't good enough anymore. I don't know.
That's a crazy sentiment.
I know.
It literally just works every time.
I know. We're going to talk about the Hololive Zero game too.
Nah. That can't be right. I think it's like there are more decks.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. Maybe it's just diversity. Maybe it's pure diversity.
I think it's just pure diversity. I don't think it fell out. Like, nothing really made it worse.
I mean, time, right? Time's making it
like,
worse.
Kind of. Like, all of the utilities, the general, like, plussing options in general.
Yeah, I mean, you have
simplicity of game plan. Like, pure boneheaded, like, skill floor of, like, what do I need for Maureen? Oh, like 3 cards.
Yeah, but
maybe.
Like you could argue that Bocchi the Rock is like a similar sort of deck where it's like very forgiving, very straightforward playstyle. Like
that kind of, it doesn't have, I don't know, but like
Hololive
also has like
not as good of a
funny ceilings too.
Not as good of a utility stack. Not as good of a like
because it also
profiles.
because it also gets like stock swap. And not only stock swap, you get Botan stock swap. Like, if you're having, like, the game of your life, like, you've been blocking, you're about to cook them, You're like, oh, you have, like, 2 cards in your deck? What if they were 5? Hear me out. What if there were 5 in your deck? 3 of them were climaxes with your 5 stock.
No,
hear me out.
That Botan profile is disgusting, dude.
Hear me out.
That Botan profile will keep that set relevant until my bones turn to dust. That card is disgusting.
Hey, what about the Suisse ruling?
Yeah, I mean, it's a minor thing that's good, but you can do some stuff. So that's good.
Yeah. It's memory shuffle, and you get to kill 2 guys probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, but. To finish up the other Springfest event or Summerfest event, unfortunately, Italy didn't have enough players to have teams, so they just ran a good old fashioned 1v1, and it was won by a standby Nikkei. Very
sorry, you said door standby,
right?
Door standby.
Yeah. The classic red Nikkei deck with the
Modernia is not on a door or on a standby.
Yeah, even though it probably should be. Being on door is kind of sick.
Yeah, it is.
This deck is incredibly good, and speaking of unique profiles, Nikkei has a whole bunch of them. They just get to do a whole bunch of wild stuff, like
you love to get sinned.
Tap down your guys and burn you, or deny your axe, deny your events, deny your whatever you got.
Rest counter
for free.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
the low cost of 1 character on board. Yeah. And if we don't have that, then just plus 6 soul counter, whatever.
Yeah, a very frustrating card in general. But more reasons to field finishers that won't let them play them. But yeah, congrats to that. Rest of the looks like
top 4 is Albuda, Freerin with the trial deck finisher, and Chikayo. Woo!
That makes me nostalgic in many ways.
Yeah, I mean, it got like support,
a little. Yeah.
The recent Love Live stuff gave it some extra utilities to work with.
A Ricky that's actually good.
A Rico. Yeah. I think
a plussing combo or something.
Oh, did it get a Rico?
Yeah, it get a Rico. Yeah, a pretty good one too.
Yeah. It's actually a Yo in the set that spawned Rico.
Yeah.
And Rico is also in the deck.
Yes.
So not for nothing.
They have 2 of them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
But looks like
it's playing.
That's the red combo.
Empty choice.
It is empty choice for some reason.
It is empty choice with
stock
the red
soul combo.
Stock soul combo.
Yeah.
We're just not interested in that choice combo. Overrated card.
Yeah, the choice combo is pretty good in my opinion, but
it only pluses.
That's not a lot, and it's big.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
But but the other thing is that like the Chikador combo from the Chikador finisher is pretty good. So requires experience 9, but that's not usually a problem. You're kind of a top heavy deck to begin with.
Yeah,
due to the
nah,
nature
actually,
of how
here's
Yo
the
behaves.
here's the real estimation of this deck in that it only has 15 no, hold on, 14
14.
zeros.
Yep.
That's a real Chica Yo deck. True.
Yep. Dude is just mulliganing 5 every game. Real psycho behavior.
Yeah. It's gonna lead up to our Spike Corner topic really well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Coming up next, BSF Rosemont is incoming. I will be there. Maybe I shouldn't have planned to be there. There's a lot of things going on in June.
Yeah, there is.
It's Pride Month, which, if you know me at all, is relevant to me, plans-wise. So, I think over the next month, I will miss my bed.
Yeah.
My weekends are gone, and one of them will be in Rosemont. So, if you want to see me there, just, listen for the laugh. Apparently, that makes me really easy to find.
It does.
The hat. Yeah. Glasses. Whatever.
Everybody knows you now.
Yeah.
You're the face of the refresh point.
There's like a review deck. Something.
Something review.
Something. Top star. Something like that. In between then and now, though, there's also going to be 3 in one weekend. Mexico City, Richmond, British Columbia, and Munich, Germany, all on June 8th. So the weekend after we record this podcast. As always, our timing, impeccable. Top notch.
It means we're always in place to report the results rather than actually produce the results.
Absolutely. And in terms of sets, we have Rurouni Kenshin coming out. I haven't looked at it that much. I'm sorry, Rurouni Kenshin fans. Real answer, I'm just going to be excited for at least a little bit. I don't know when the promo's coming out. Maybe it's already coming out. But I'm excited to fight a deck that has no anti-change counter for a little bit.
Is that true?
Yeah, they didn't print one with the set.
What I will say they did print with this set is a whole bunch of really nice profiles.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The door finisher is kind of nasty.
Yeah.
It's got a heavy requirements, and it doesn't help you fulfill any of them really. But if you can manage it, you can deal a shit ton of damage. So the door finisher is a resonate, pay 2 and pitch 1, and reveal two of your Ricky, 2 of them from your hand, and somehow you're gonna have the hand to support this.
Yeah. A door, just triple trigger door.
And we need 2 or more other characters on the field, so that's not that bad. It's just a full field of attackers to burn 2 twice on attack.
Yeah. 8 door. We love door.
That's kind of sick. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
There ain't no way you're tripling this, by the way. Your on-play effect is heal.
Just hit every brainstorm, block, have 3 turns at level 2 where your opponent does nothing, all that good stuff.
Yeah, the door combo, really solid. It's got on attack check triggers, and then it gets power, and then its combo is on attack check 5 for a Meiji romantic story, which is the core trait character.
Yeah.
And put it in your hand. Check 5, mill 5 check is unbelievable as a combo. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Because you're just going to fly through the deck.
Did you say that about the Nikkei trial deck?
Did I not?
I don't know. Honestly, yeah, check us.
I'm pretty sure I said it was good.
Yeah. I'm curious now.
But Ao Buddha is basically check 5 in disguise. And
this is check 6 in disguise.
This is check 6 in disguise.
And so is I think so is the Nikkei one.
Yeah, so that's just
funny.
an absolutely phenomenal amount of deck speed. So,
I love checking.
That's...
Mill.
Yeah.
Makes the brain juices go, man. Yeah. We love milling.
It's a good fast reset. And as opposed to the horrible nature of how the Albuda level 1 behaves in deck 2, the Rurouni Kenshin level 1 in deck 2 will be fantastic because
you'll
check,
just
is
never,
it clean? Trigger it. That's it.
Yep.
Just stop.
You'll never see 2 doors in a row. Impossible.
Yeah.
Yep.
They also get a counter that burns you if you become reversed.
Oh, if you become reversed.
No. Them.
Oh, okay.
It's an event. It's 1500 power, and then when this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, burn 1.
Hype.
So you can use it during the main phase to juice up your finisher to get even more packets.
Oh,
or
yeah.
You
True,
can use it. It's an event, so you can cast it whenever. So
is it? Yeah, and it's a backup event.
It is a backup event.
All right. Yeah.
Really, really nice, tricky mechanic. They also get
joining the handfuls of burn 1 counters that have existed in our game.
Yeah, and also they get the terrible full field anti damage counter profile.
Oh yeah,
that's never worked in any deck at any point for anyone. So
why not?
Something. Return your guy to your hand. Something. The field's not full.
Huh?
Anyway, yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, nothing does that. In any case,
there's nothing that would ever turn off my full field requirement.
Yeah. The pants finisher is also like, this is the reasonable finisher. The door one is the psycho one, where it's like
right.
The ceiling is to the stars, right?
Sure.
This is back here on Earth.
Right.
Where we don't have enough resources to do all that shit. So on placement, you get to reveal the top of your deck, and if it's a character, you can choose an opponent's level 3 and put it on the bottom of their deck. Ha 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 ha. Good luck with your money counter.
Nice.
And then pay 1, ditch 1 for burn 3.
Also nice.
Oh, on direct attack.
Yeah, you need to bottom deck them first.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Easy.
So it's all reveal, so all you need to do is hit it once, and you'll get it triple bottom deck. So
sick.
Kind of annoying, actually. If you're playing standby, this guy's super bad. Like, DK's gonna hate this fucker.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It'll
be interesting. I think it didn't make many waves in Japan, as far as I recall.
No.
And part of that may or may not have been its lack of printing of an anti-change in main set. May or may not be relevant to any point in a metagame that was dominated by standby at many points in the last calendar year. But
Yeah, Japan do be loving the standbys, so
yeah,
not having anti-level is problematic.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
It'll be funny. Until they get it printed in a promo that's given out. Congrats on fronting at level 2 safely. Hype. Next up, let's get into. We're kind of leading up to it, so let's actually just go into the spike corner, where today our topic is plussing at level 0. I almost feel like we've talked about this before, but now it's 2025 and we can talk about it again. How important is it for us to have plussing zeros?
Yeah.
And what kind of plussing zeros?
Yeah, so when I was doing a little bit of research to talk about this, I went and grabbed a fistful of not only some of the most popular decks in the meta, but some of my most beloved decks in the meta, to answer the question, how should we play out our level 0 game? Because I find that a lot of Weiss players do not set themselves up for success at level 0. They go too hard, and they do not possess the right tools to support that. So they invariably get to a mid-game state where they're very weak on resources, and they're really depending on coin flipping, brainstorm or some kind of dramatic amount of plussing to get them back into the game from a resource perspective. They may be fine from a damage perspective, but they have very low hand, they have very low money, they can't make the plays they need to make, and a lot of that is set up by tri-fielding. So we can kind of start with tri-fielding.
Yeah. So, it's kind of a callback to when we had Carter on the show. And we were talking about the 8 pants slime deck that he piloted last year in BCS Philly, where he put a great emphasis on trying to single double field at 0 a lot, and just kind of slow play out the 0 game as much as possible with plussing zeros and trying to garner resource from there.
Yeah, and so if we can start with slime, because I picked slime as one of the sets I wanted to look at. So I grabbed. If you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a visual, but for the
There
people,
will.
But for the people watching this, yeah, see how I assigned you work there? It's really, it was
What a nice guy.
It was so easy for me to do.
Yeah. He just assigned me some work. But let's look at these slime level zeros. Not all of which are kind of the ones played in the what is it?
I would
the
not
Miron
say,
deck.
I would not say you'd ever run all of these together. I would say that these represent the best internal pluses that the set can offer at zero. So some of these cards are there because they're big. So we have It's Delicious Millum, and we have the Hakuro.
Flash Hakuro.
Yeah.
The old man.
Which are just 3,500 power, which is an obnoxious number. And in the case of It's Delicious Millum, it can run in front, which means you need a minimum of one 3,500 power character to remove this character, and if you want to attack twice, you're going to need 2 of them. Otherwise, this thing's gonna live. Every time a 0 lives, that's +1. I don't know if that's never been explained. Every time a 0 lives, it's +1. You just raised your hand size by 1. You did it passively with a card that's already on the board. Now there's 1 less slot to fill. So, when we're talking about field pluses, being big is a pretty good one. Because if your opponent can't get over on it, it just lives and attacks again.
Yeah, as it turns out, in the modern day and age where people are discarding big-powered cards by the handfuls, there's a good amount of decks that don't scale 3,500.
Yeah, and even worse when it's 4K. There's some sets that have really powerful 4K zeros.
I love a 4K zero.
That have really solid effects, and they're very annoying.
Or even if they don't have solid effects, it's still a 4K zero.
Sometimes it's just big.
Yeah. Sometimes you just can't get scaled.
So to round out the rest of these zeros, we have some profiles that we're going to refer to a lot. So we have the so-called clean cut profile, which is whenever you reverse your battle opponent, you choose one of your other characters, you rest it, and then you move it to the backstage. So
great for brainstormers.
Yeah.
We love that. Any back row thing.
Yeah, so this increases the flexibility of your hand. Like, the chances of you being able to attack more and get punished less. Because a lot of times you'll open a hand with some guys that clearly are meant to be in the front line, and some guys that are clearly not meant to be in the front line, you'd prefer to hold them in your hand. But if you have this thing, and you have a Brainstormer, now we have 2 attackers. Where before, we had 1 attacker. So this one is also the best possible profile for that, which is the level 1, 3,500. Beats most things. And if you have multiples, you can use them to save themselves, which can yield some really degenerate outcomes.
Yeah, I love double fielding clean cuts. That's real fun. Where I'm like, not only did I save this Brainstormer, I can clean cut you next turn.
Yeah, exactly. And the other problem is that if they have medium-sized power and they beat over something big, then you kind of have to deal with it on the following turn too. And if you try to crash with it, they'll get to save another guy. It's a very obnoxious profile. They haven't really printed the level 1 3,500 power versions very much of late. It seems like they're confiding clean cuts to 3K, but you see it every once in a while. We have the Amagi profile, which is the on climax placement. You pay 1 and you can look it up to 4 for a demon continent character or whatever your profile is.
Is that back-to-back Persona references?
Yeah,
nice.
Oh no. Amagi's from Kante Collection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair play.
So this the slime one in particular also has on climax placement. You can return it to your hand to get 2,000 power. So the ones that return to your hand are basically 2 pluses because you're putting the character that you just played back into your hand, and then you're putting another card into your hand possibly. So
and generally it's a back row character. You weren't gonna swing with it, so
yeah.
Now you just have 2 cards in your hand.
Yeah, you get a little power buff. It gives you some hand flexibility. Hand flexibility is really important in Weiss, especially early. It gives you flexibility about what you want to clock. Let's say you don't want to play this character anymore, right? Now it's back in your hand. It's not stuck on the board. So you can just clock it and be done with it. That's a really nice thing to have whenever your hand is full of gas and you're like, we gotta clock something. So yeah, that's the bounce back profiles are very nice. We have our bog standard, the profile that's been holding down Weiss Schwarz for as long as I can recall, the Ricky. We're gonna pay 1. We're gonna take a damage, and we're gonna get a card, a level 1
And
or
we'll
lower.
note, this is an actual Ricky on the screen.
Yeah,
It's not something else where you pay 1, clock from waiting room to bottom of clock, or clock and then salvage, or clock and then check 3, or pay 1, check 3, and then clock yourself and then salvage, or any of that stuff.
Yes.
Just to keep our terminology tight, this
Yeah.
is a Ricky.
Yeah.
When we say Ricky, we mean Ricky.
We're talking about pay 1, clock the top, search for level 1 or lower. That's what we're looking for. So
Classic.
This is the combo setter. If you have a level 1 combo in hand and you have a Ricky, you now have a field at level 1. We don't have to think about it too much harder than that. If we manage to get a second one, fantastic. It's wonderful. Thumbs up all around. We'll clock this Ricky. But almost certainly the profile, if you play this game enough, the play patterns will frequently be play a Ricky, clock yourself, get a level 1, play a level 1 combo. Like, having all 3 at level 1 is kind of unrealistic unless your deck has some kind of setup for it. Or at least having it that way consistently. So that's our boy. Also, clocking yourself to take damage in the late game is an important mechanic for getting yourself to level 3 if your opponent does not want you to be level 3. If you play the game long enough, you'll realize that sometimes you don't want your opponent to be level 3 because your deck stays really bad and you're gonna die if they hit level 3, so you stop attacking. Well, your opponent may not want that to happen, so having the Ricky around increases your chance of drawing it, increases your chance of leveling, makes that whole process smoothed over. We have some unique profiles here for Slime. Slime is a marker set, so there are a few cards that manipulate markers or do stuff with markers.
Yeah, good old three rules Rimuru.
So 3 rules Rimuru is like a card in the future where we can make a plan about what we think the game is going to be like, and then we can execute on the plan later. So what it does is you tap it and you get a card from your waiting room and you put it underneath it as a marker, and then you can pay 1 and tap it to grab a marker and put it in your hand.
And in Slime, you can use an event to rest it, or stand it, rather, so that you can get it all in the same turn and, like, check for cards for a card.
Right. So there's some outside manipulation that can make it even better, but even with nothing, it's basically pay 1 for a card next turn. So that's pretty good in terms of Weiss math. And it allows you to craft a card that you know you will eventually need, like, just spiffballing here, Muron. We'll call the hypothetical card Muron.
Right. Hypothetical.
You could put Muron underneath it and then pay 1 later and summon a Muron. In case, like, hypothetically, your deck got restricted and Muron became harder to get.
Yeah. Something like that. And finally here, another card that is like some other cards, but there's not a really consistent-ish version of this. This is Aqua.
Yeah.
We're gonna call it Aqua.
Yeah.
From HoloLive.
Yeah.
Now then, this one doesn't clock from waiting room to bottom of clock, which is better. Cannot stress enough how that is better.
Way better.
I cannot stress enough that is better. And that every quote-unquote Ricky of the modern day that lets you clock to the bottom of your clock from the waiting room, that's better.
Yeah.
Cannot stress enough that is on average better.
Yeah.
But it's on death. Pay 1, clock yourself, check the top 2 cards of your deck. If they're characters, jolly days, they both go to your hand.
Right. And so this profile, and really the Aqua profile in HoloLive when it came out, is a source, considering the rest of their Zero game, particularly the synergy of Aqua with Kanata. There's a Kanata that lets you take 2 cards from your hand and put them into the stock on placement. So there's powerful synergy there to produce the type of resource that you need, whatever it is. If your deck needs to be hand heavy, you can have 2 cards in hand. If your deck needs to be stock heavy, you can have 2 cards in stock if you want. That profile can lead to some powerful hands where you will never run out of resources. You will feel like you are just have infinite hand size.
I think it's safe to say that after Aquas were printed more, there have been newer players who are spoiled for choice.
Yeah, paying 1 to get 2 cards is a near unheard of profile in Weiss Schwarz prior to Aqua. Paying 1 to get 1 card was near unheard of. Like, you were happy to pay 1 and something else to get 1. So you'll notice that 3 Rules Rimuru is pay 1, but it's not this turn. It's pay 1 and then like put it on layaway and then we'll cash it out later.
Yeah, and then Ricky is pay 1.
But we have to take a damage, right? And like damage is the least costly resource early in the game. It's one of those things that doesn't matter till it does, right? So paying 1 and clocking yourself is a very low cost to produce a card, especially a card you chose. So
but it's especially like Aqua was especially powerful in Hololive too, because on average, like the cards that you would wheel into, you could easily filter, or they would be gas.
Right.
You know?
So let's talk about Hololive Zero game, because I feel that the Hololive Zero game is one of the best in the game. So
all right, yeah, sure. We'll pivot on over that.
Yeah.
We're leading off with Aqua because, like, not only Aqua, but also the rest of it. And Aqua herself, right, is a 3500
Big.
level 0 in the middle position.
Yeah, she only gets power in one stage position, which is kind of the way you can play around her. But big. Like,
But that's the thing.
yeah.
It's a field plus into a hand plus.
Yeah, they've never printed this profile again at 3500 power outside of Hololive. It's too much power to put on this type of mechanic. So yeah, Aqua is very unique. Now Hololive has 3 Aquas at this point.
Yeah, you can run 12
There's
of
2
them if you
yellow
really
ones,
wanted to.
2 yellow ones and a blue one. It's like the classic.
Yeah, in JP, there's like a green one.
Is there? Oh.
I think they have them in like almost all the something like that.
Yeah, so yeah. More is not better. Okay, let's make that clear. More is not better. Let's make that clear.
Yeah.
We have 2 other big field pluses which are really handy, and I've run both of them at points. One of them is one of the classic profiles of Weiss, which is on play. You reveal the top and you get a marker, and if you have a marker, you get power and or levels. And then at the beginning of your opponent's attack step, you can run it in front of something. So this is similar to It's Delicious Millum, just not as good, because it requires you to wheel a card off the top, and if it fails, then the card basically becomes a brick on the board. It doesn't do anything. There's a couple of these that are patrolling around the meta. The Noel gets +1 level. The SDS one, which we'll talk about later, gets more power. So +1 level and running in front is a very obnoxious combination. This is the so-called Goblin Slayer profile. I believe that was the first set to have it.
Wasn't Goblin Slayer 3500?
It was 3K.
It was 3K.
Yeah,
Okay.
3K and level 1. And but the Goblin Slayer one you couldn't side.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Sure.
it just said you couldn't side. This one you can side technically,
Because you need a marker.
but practically you shouldn't. It's level 1.
Yeah.
The other field plus is the Miko that it makes all of your other characters unable to side attack, which is kind of annoying. But whenever it reverses a character, then it can choose one of your level 0 or lower characters on the center stage and put in the waiting room. So this thing's big, and it deletes your big guys by fighting your small guys. It's a very obnoxious card. So It's Delicious Millum that gets outplayed by this card. So, or any of those chase in front characters, because they'll put this big thing in front of it, in front of your small thing, beat it up, and then delete your big thing. So, super annoying, works on both players' turns, incredibly frustrating card to deal with at 0. Very good.
For sure.
We have the Ricky. We have another regular Ricky that we're happy to have, because also for no reason whatsoever, it's level 1 and 3K.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Only during your opponent's turn, but still a very frustrating combination of profiles where it's like weirdly big for no reason and also a Ricky. So
Yeah.
what you notice about Hololive is a lot of times they get these like combination of abilities where it's like weirdly powerful card, but also why is it big?
And even weirdly powerful card that's small.
Yeah.
We have their Rico. We mentioned it earlier in the show. It was it came from a 2-1 actually.
Yeah.
From Love Life, where you would rest it, and you would discard, you would check the top card of your deck, salvage a card equal or lower to the level that you just revealed.
Right.
Now then, that's been put on a bunch of level 0 since, including this one, this Rene, who also gets, during this card's battle, when damage you receive is canceled, you may return this card to your hand.
Yeah, so we get a random plus sometimes with cancel bounce back or reveal bounce back.
Cannot stress how much I just hate seeing this happen.
Yeah, it's a frustrating mechanic because it doesn't happen too often. It'll only happen when you're losing. Believe it or not, it's a hidden feature of the game. When you're losing, you will see your opponent start to wheel into this stupid shit, and you're just that pushes you further off the edge.
Yeah. Because hey, hear me out. This is a hand filter that swings, and then also bounce back. Woohoo!
Yeah, we have the exact same profile for the Amagi as we did in Slime, where we have the pay 1 and we also have the bounce back, so that's really powerful. And then kind of rounding out the most frequently played like pluses at 0, we have this Lammy was played a lot during the 8 standby or standby Gura heyday. It gives power on attack, which means and it can give power to itself, so it can be 2500 power if it needs to be. Or it just takes your Aqua or whoever into the stratosphere. And then when it's reversed, you can pay 1 and put a character from your waiting room into the clock to look at 4 and then add 1 and then send this thing to memory. So we're paying 1 and clocking 1, but we're getting a weaker effect, right? Check 4 is weaker than searching for a level 1 or lower. But in return, we're getting some permanent compression out of the memory compression. And we get this little attack buff, which is kind of nice sometimes for getting over at 0. So overall, these are just common profiles. Honestly, these will all work. And any combination of these will work. There's probably no Hololive deck that you will face that doesn't have at least one of these somewhere in their deck. That's just how the game works. But this is kind of one end of the spectrum where we see like a tremendous amount of hand advantage coming in at 0. There are some decks in the meta that are not good at 0 and very weak at producing 0 pluses. So let's talk about Albuda, because Albuda is one of the boogeymen of the meta, and I'm very familiar with it because I've been playing it so much. This deck, we're gonna show you some cards that are technically pluses.
Yeah.
But this deck is really poor at plussing at 0. I mean, really poor. We have Ricky, which is great. But the problem is that it's a memory card. It goes to memory.
You say it's really poor, but actually that's the, devil's advocate here. Albuda in the modern day, not as bad at plussing because it runs a vanilla 3K.
That's true. Yeah.
And
sometimes
to be honest,
sometimes your opponent can't get over it.
Can't scale. Field plussing, dude. Field plussing in the modern day of Weiss feels underrated. Like if you look at the Nino lineup of the second place player of this year's Worlds,
bro doesn't have one guy over 2K probably.
No.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
No. Don't care.
Doesn't matter. But also, that's free.
It does. The thing is that he may not care, but you'll be happy to have it.
Exactly. As long as you have a guy that's over 2K.
Yeah, because as long as you're not playing the mirror.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of decks that don't have anybody over 2K, Albuda.
What I just said. We just said.
Yeah, they've got. Yeah,
they have one guy. It's a forum.
Yeah.
They have to put it into stock.
Right. So you'll have it maybe.
Yeah. What do you mean maybe? It's a forum. Surely we'll just find it.
But the remainder of our pluses, kind of the downside of them is they go to memory.
No, true.
So we're not gonna have them for very long, and there's not gonna be very many of them. So we have two different flavors of on reverse go to memory. So
the Ricky goes to memory. And...
We have
Oh, yeah,
on
the yellow
reverse, pay
one.
1, clock 1, and send to memory to draw. And then
Oh.
we have on reverse, pay 1, pitch 1, which is not a plus, to go to memory, and then salvage. So, and then we have our only other fighter that could be considered a fighter is the Shoko Blue Zero, which has a...
Oh, yeah. She's like a chaser.
It has an act effect to
And
give
a helmet.
to give you helmet,
Yeah.
which you don't need. And
What?
It's waiting room access is not a problem. And
Get
then
a
you
load
get
of this guy. He's too good for hand filtering in an 8-door deck.
Bro, there ain't no way. The guy who did the guy who got the highest placement with this set didn't even run it.
I'm aware. We are both looking at it right now.
Yeah. But you also get if you have 4 more cards in hand, you get level 1, you're 3K, you can run in front. It has to run in front, which is cool.
You know, but I think we've looked at, I think we've looked at a few sets enough to get a gauge, get an idea.
Yeah.
You know, with all these decks that are running all of these like plussing cards and like utility cards and all that, you know, how important actually is field plussing? Does it matter?
I'm of two minds of it. What I'll say is, if it doesn't disrupt the deck's overall game plan, and it doesn't cost you any mechanics to do it, you should do it. Like, if you have a 3500 that's got good text on the card, it's Delicious Millum, right?
Yeah,
This type of profile, where it's like, this card is annoying to deal with and probably can't be reversed if I put it down.
Yeah.
Then you should run that.
Yeah.
If it doesn't disrupt the deck, you should run that. SAO,
What do you mean by disrupt the deck, though?
So, like, if it comes at the cost of a utility card that could produce a better long-term game plan strategy, or if our deck is so rich with pluses in other areas, we don't need it. So, for example, if I'm playing 8-door Eatski,
Right.
I probably don't care. Because my level 1 draws 3 cards.
Oh.
And I will probably have...
Well, it only draws 2 cards. You have to discard one, you know?
Yeah. But +2 is a rare thing in the game. So if that hits twice, your hand is basically going to be Giga for the rest of the game.
Right.
So if you have really, really strong plussing at level 1, then maybe you can get away with having a weaker 0 game in terms of plussing. I would not go to a tournament in Weiss Schwarz that's with a deck from now that does not have some type of 0 plussing, preferably in multiple sources. If it doesn't have a Ricky, you can't play the deck. I don't know what... if that's controversial, then it is. But if your deck does not have a Ricky, it is not... You cannot play this. That is not a tournament deck.
Yeah.
You need a way to clock yourself and get cards that you need.
Oh, okay. So not a Ricky. Just any way of clocking yourself and getting cards that you want.
I know you're looking...
Nikkei doesn't have a Ricky.
I know, but it's because
they just have a guy that says top stock to clock.
Their checker is like check 100
check
cards.
6
Yeah.
and then check 2 afterwards.
Yeah, and they also have on deck check 4. Like, they have a shit ton of checking.
Yeah.
So if you have enough checking, maybe you don't need it. But man, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like playing the game without it. And
yeah.
It makes your level 1 game unreliable. And the other thing is that if it's a standby deck, maybe you don't care, right? Because you're a standby deck. You don't care about reliable level 1 games. What you care about is flooding the waiting room with cards, right?
And then triggering standby. Correct.
Which is why Nino doesn't care. They're like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Eventually, my whole board will be 13K. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. That's a strat.
True.
If it falls apart, then you're cooked. But you accepted that the second you picked that deck up. So I think if your deck, unless your deck has unique circumstances that will allow it to exist,
without comboing heavy at level 1, or like if you do one of your level 1 combo, right? Or like the Dorothy deck for like if you have a 2-1 combo as your level 1, where it's like draw 4 or salvage 4.
Sure,
or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
Then like great, right? You don't need that much. Ricky doesn't help you. But you need a way to clock yourself. That's mandatory. And Ricky, for most generic Weiss builds, is the best version of that mechanic, where you get the exact card that you want and you're pulling from the largest card pool available at the time you're playing it, usually.
Yeah.
But obviously there's corner cases. We already talked about a couple where you can get away with it as long as your game plan is coherent. That should be the takeaway here, is that your zero game needs to support your deck's overall game plan going forward. If it doesn't, then that's bad. Or if you're playing in a way that's counterintuitive to how the deck is supposed to play, that's bad. Because what's going to happen is you will run yourself out of resources. It's very easy to do. If you see somebody that's brand new to Weiss, you'll see almost certainly they have either too much stock or too little stock and no hand. Because they don't know how to manage those resources effectively. And if you overplay your hand at 0 and things go really badly, you will be unable to play the game. And you'll be left with basically ripping whatever you draw off the top and hoping that that's enough to like get things by, and there's maybe a normalization point somewhere in the future if one of you takes enough damage, and then eventually maybe the game will normalize. But I see it all the time when players will attack too heavy, their opponent's now above them in level, so they can't fight on the board, and they're weak on hand. And so what do? The game's in a doomed state now, because you may be ahead on damage, like they're at whatever, mid 2, you're at mid 1. But how are you going to kill them? You don't have anything, and you're never gonna.
Except if you're Hololive.
Right, and there's always the possibility of like just managing it, right?
Yeah.
I brainstormed and I hit 3, and
In
I was
general,
never punished at all,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But like, it's a very precarious thing to do, to overplay your zero hand.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be aware of like your 0 pluses and how they behave.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you'll have the very best level 0 games imaginable just by pure raw luck. I mean, it's not luck, it's just math, right? But the amount of times that water bending Aang has led to some of the most absolutely disgusting level 0
suck.
games.
You and every other Atla player, you suck.
This profile is obscene.
You suck, and I hate you.
They printed it a couple different times, but it's basically you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. If they're 3 different colors, you can add 1 to your hand.
Yeah.
It shouldn't work that often.
Unless.
But then there's weird clusters in the data where like you'll hit like 4 or 5 in a row. And it's just like you're.
How do you hit 5? What do you mean? There's only 4 copies. Are you firebending for this waterbending?
No, I mean like over the course of the game. Every time you play, you're just like, it hits.
Yeah.
And you're like later on, you're like, I'll just play it. Oh, it hits. I need my level 1 combo. Oh, it hits.
It's like, okay. It's like, and I'll transition this in a second with this as well. It's like the Maya bomb in Review. It's which is a level 0 bottom decker bomb, which will answer the field plus, and also your on death thing as well. And then on reverse, it checks the top, and if that card's level 2, you rest this card. And it shouldn't work as often as it does, but especially in a standby deck. You know, I've had turns where Maya lives for 4 turns straight. Yeah. I heard from somebody that they did the math on a game that they were playing against like a Review player one time, and it just plus 20 in a game. We were just like reverse up, flip, reverse up, flip, reverse up, flip. Just just got him.
It's crazy work. That card, and other profiles like it, where it's like, I reveal the top if it's level 1 or higher.
Bounce it to my hand.
You're like,
mill the top 2 cards. If there's a 1 or higher, 2 or lower, 2 or higher, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Bounce it to my hand.
Yeah. The bounce back.
Is that worth playing?
Depends on what the on-play mechanic is. That's usually what drives those
like,
things.
Purely nothing else. Like, let's say there are no other mechanics. There's a coin flip plus worth a slot in
No,
attack.
because it's probably doesn't have the power to support it. No.
Yeah.
It'll be like 2K or something.
Like, let's say we're talking about like a random mid-tier deck. You know, is it better just to seek out like a 3500?
I would rather have a 3500 than
a coin flip.
If it has no on play effect, then I would rather have 3500 power, because 3500 power is at least like a pretty solid rock to stand on. With the problem with the bounce back is that if it whiffs, then you basically lose it, and then you get nothing from the on play after 0. So it's like, they're both of similar like awkwardness. I prefer my field pluses to have some kind of ability that's like worth having. so
thinking about then bombs.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Do we care about bombs?
Again, bombs with no context, bombs that have some kind of on reverse effect or some kind of on death effect. Yeah. Like when it gets put in the waiting room, it does something and then it's a bomb.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's fine. I wanted to go to the waiting room anyway. The problem with bombs, and it's always been a problem with bombs, is why bombs need to have those kicker mechanics more so than other cards, is because bombs don't help you on the field. They just bomb. So the upside, if your opponent has an annoying card, now they don't. Downside, whatever that was in that lane is now empty. So you're going to absorb a direct attack when you use a bomb. So bombs are strictly weaker than big dudes, because big dudes you have to reverse, and even if the bomb reverses them, you get rewarded with a direct attack. And so direct attacks are in deck 1 are how the game can become unbalanced really quickly. So zero bombs usually are low cost. Level 1 bombs are much more tricky, because if you start to leave direct lanes in the mid game and your opponent is landing big hits, then the game's gonna death spiral incredibly quickly if you get a little bit unlucky. Like if you're at level 1 and you leave a direct lane and you get a little bit unlucky, like 6 damage can come down on you, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not level 1 anymore. It's like, hope your hand is supporting this the way the game is. So bombs are tricky. I think 0 bombs I'm fine with, as long as whatever the other effect it has is good. And there's a couple sets that are really reliant on 0 bombs because they are the trigger for some kind of other mechanic, or they produce like deck speed or something like that. And then you have the really unique like Escanor bombs, where they don't need other mechanics because they're just broken. Like they're just the most annoying card imaginable.
Yeah. Oh, I have 3 other copies of this bomb. I bomb level 3s now.
Yeah, when the bomb can remove something so problematic easily, and like perma remove it, because it doesn't send it to the waiting room, it sends it to like the shadow,
Clyde,
wherever. That profile can exist on its own because the outsized value exchange is so incredible. If your opponent early plays into that thing, that's the worst feeling on the earth. Is like, I really badly need this durable guy to stay on board. Oh, he's not going to, because RNG intervened and my opponent now has 3 in the waiting room for some reason.
Sure.
And so you're like, the value loss is incredible. So those type of bombs can obviously exist all on their own, in their own complete like overpowered bubble, which is fine. But if we're just talking about this level 0 reverse the equal level card, yeah, we need to have some kind of effect built into it.
All right, let's say right now in Modern Weiss, I have the option in between a vanilla 3500 and a vanilla stock bomb. What do you take? Like, I'm building like a weak deck. This deck, old, sucks. It's rough, buddy.
I think with the way the meta is, stock bombs have a really nice spot in the meta for denying your opponent's mechanics.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking about reverse bomb because like they'll get the mechanic anyway. We want to think about clock, stock, bottom deck, bomb.
There was definitely a period in the meta.
Like the only other effect is like power.
Sure.
Yeah.
There was definitely a period of time in the meta where that mechanic, like when everybody's running Hakuro.
Yeah.
Or like the removal from the field, no reversing, no waiting rooming, none of that shit. There's a window in the meta where like that starts to come out, because if a lot of decks are starting to have these on death on waiting room reverse on waiting room mechanics, then it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play around that. And so, especially if your opponent goes all in, starts pushing their chips too close to the center. Like, if you see your opponent tri-field and then you see the aqua there, the power of denying that is incredible. Because if you have a stock bomb, then you're like, okay, well, what's about to happen here is you're going to lose your big guy. You're going to lose your plus. You're going to lose the damage you might have been counting on to level up. And yeah, there's a direct lane now. But I just cost you 3 cards. And it's like, that stings, man. That stings. And when it's a big dude like Hakuro, he'll get over sometimes from random power buffs. And so it's like, not only did you lose your guy and you get your plus denied, but also my giant dude is still here, being giant. And so you're going to have to charge something into that next turn. And
yeah, I think Hakuro is like an easier ass.
Yes,
but like
with the bomb, it's still good. If you think that the meta is going to support that. Now, Hololive's not super popular right now, but stock bomb,
really?
Yeah. Well, I mean the results, right? But it doesn't. How about doesn't seem to be? We'll call it that, right?
All right.
But
so when you walk into Irving and
but Albuda though
gone. Oh, sure.
Right? You want to go to memory? No, you can't go to memory.
Doesn't it just work? It's like end of the opponent's attack.
Not if I'm a stock bomb.
Really?
Well, no, I'm talking about denying the other zeros, like the yellow zero and
sure, yeah.
Or like if you can do it to that if they leave it on the field. Like you could do it.
Oh, okay. It's at the end of this card's attack. So if they leave it on the field, then
yeah. And a lot of times at 0, you should presume that they will. Or your opponent will side attack it to like deny it or whatever.
Sure.
But you can do that. The yellow 0, and then if you have level 1s or some way to like apply the ability to a character, like there's some sets that have a support that applies that ability.
Yeah.
The level 1 in this set is 2k, so like you could very easily do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, if you're facing a memory deck or your opponent badly needs something to go to the memory and you can deny it, that's really powerful. So yeah, I think you have to be knowledgeable of the meta. You have to keep an eye on the meta and see.
All right, well, let's say that we're knowledgeable about the meta. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's say that we're knowledgeable about the meta. Right. So would you run a vanilla bomb over a vanilla 3500 right now? Gun to your head.
Stock bomb? No. Because the meta has got too many decks that can't reverse a 3500. There's too many of them rolling around.
Yeah.
Like Buddha and Nino and like they can't.
Nikke.
They just have to look at that thing.
Unless if Nikke has
their own Hakuro.
They do. But
and
if they don't draw into it, then unlucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also that clock guy gets like a weird amount of power.
Yeah.
It's like 500 for every card in your clock or something.
Yeah. It's the quote unquote Ricky.
It's it's
the clocking self.
Stock to clock to look at 6, right? That
7,
thing gets like
8, whatever.
Yeah, 6 and then 2.
Yeah, 6 and then 2. But yeah, it gets power for cards and clocks. If you clock yourself to 5, you're plus 2500 on your 1500 guy. You're like,
or 4K, baby.
True.
So they can kind of reach it. If you're playing the paired bunnies, I've seen paired bunnies played. There's a 3K there. They've got some okay 0 power, and then I've seen that stupid Hakuro profile a few times. That card is obnoxious.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple of decks that are really popular in the meta that cannot beat a 3/5. They just can't. Like the Albuda deck can if you trigger a door.
True. Yeah, true.
Like half the power of this deck, it feels like, comes from if I trigger a door ... question mark.
Yeah.
Where like if they have the 2 paired characters in the backstage where it's like the brainstorm and then the characters like whenever you trigger a door you get 2 characters get 1,000. Then you're like, okay, well, weirdly, I now have enough power due to random circumstances.
Yeah.
The most gambling deck imaginable. It's hard to.
But on average, right now, Feels like a 3500 is pretty good.
3500 is pretty okay right now. I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
There's a lot of decks that can't, or they trade with it.
Yeah.
Like they can fight it, but they gotta trade with it.
Exactly.
So SDS has been patrolling around with their 3500 forever.
Yeah.
In one form or another, they're either playing the chaser or they're playing the clean cut. But in either case, like there's a big dude rolling around that's just like, get out of here.
Yeah, true. And for my money, I also think so. I love field plussing, but also I've been playing like a mid-tier deck for like a whole year. So like
Mid-tier decks really need field plussing.
field plussing is so sick because like the thing that happens is that you're not like a modern deck and then you don't have the level 1 combo.
Yeah.
Or you have like 1 or 2 copies.
Yeah.
So like what you really need is number 1, you need your Ricky to happen.
Yeah.
And number 2, you need your field plussing to be there, like doing things for you.
Yeah,
you know,
you need to be bigger on hand size early because it's gonna deplete over the course
it's gonna
of the
deplete
game.
rapidly.
Yeah.
And like honestly, in that kind of thing, if you're a mid-tier deck with a clean cut, now's the time. Now's the time. Now's never been like more the time.
Yeah,
you know,
clean cuts are at an all-time high. I think
clean
if
cuts
you
are
got
like
one, you
super high right now, just because like. Yeah, you know, they try field the 1 combo, my bad. But like frequently they won't do that.
Yeah.
And then they'll have a 0 instead that they probably hard played from their hand. So you can just be like, clean cut, you say.
Yeah, there have been a lot of times where I have opened my level 0 hand and been like, if I just had 1 clean cut, if the card just existed in this set, then everything would be fine. But because it doesn't, and I'm looking at my hand as like Brainstorm, some other shitter, and then like 2 non-level 0 cards, I'm like, this is gonna have to attack. The amount of times I've attacked with that 0 Brainstorm from Albuda, the Kaide, and where I'm like, I'm gonna have to get another one. I'm just gonna have to get another one because I have to attack now.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
And that's why you should play Review Stone. No.
That's how you should play. That time I got reincarnated as a slime.
As a slime, yeah.
But
slime doesn't even run their clean cut.
Sometimes.
Yeah, not in Miron.
No. Maybe.
No.
Imagine having so many pluses.
Yeah.
You just don't need them.
Yeah, you just don't need them. You have your litter to pick of all the pluses.
I think the SCS clean cut gets run quite a bit.
Yeah, I would say so.
And then I think the Chainsaw Man clean cut kind of picked up in terms of like
a little bit. I would think so.
Bit.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
it's
clean cuts
completely
we
fine.
love clean cut.
And they have like a really good profile to clean cut with.
Yeah. You get your Brainstormer or your 0 combo.
Or power or whatever.
Or power or
like power can send whoever the third attacker is, and then you save power, and then like next turn send whoever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the mega value.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. We love clean cut.
But yeah. I think it's important. It's an important part of deck building. You gotta look at your 0 game. If it's not that strong.
All right. We're not playing to round out the show. We'll get to ambitious deck building next time. We'll get it next time. We got locals in a bit. All right. To round out the show, you have a deck and you have like 18 slots through 0s. Let's say we're not playing Love Life Sunshine. We don't need 14.
Right.
And we don't have so many like plussing options that, you know, like we're going to run just like 25 zeros and call it a day. Right. Okay. 18 zeros in like generic template.
Yeah.
Hard to say in Weiss, but generic template.
Yeah.
What do you think?
All right. So what I want for my 0 game is we want a Brainstorm.
Yeah.
Of some kind.
Yeah.
That produces cards from the waiting room.
Oh, okay. Salvage Brainstorm.
Yes.
That'd be great.
It's the meta is beyond Surge Brainstorms.
Unless it's Dansu Flame. You're okay to run Dansu Flame and the Salvage Brainstorm, which Uma Musume frequently does.
Yeah. So if you have multiples, right? You have both Brainstorms, then sure, you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But
do you remember Dansu Flame?
I definitely try to block out everything about that whole
like all of it. If I could just block it.
Okay. How many brainstorms do you have?
All right. So I think 3 is the right number for most decks.
Okay.
Unless your brainstorm has some kind of powerful utility on playability, or
Yeah.
your deck is very bad at selection,
Right.
then maybe you need more.
Okay.
For Ricky, I don't want to hear it. For Ricky, unless you have some other way to produce your level 1 combo in an efficient, effective manner. So the only other thing I will accept as a replacement is if you have the profile on attack, pay 1 and ditch 2 to search 2.
Right.
If you're Origami or Hider or the one from what is it? The set, Riaz's pet set.
Ari Ferretta.
Yes, they have it. Anyway, if you have that profile, great. Run that. You can run that. And then the Ricky can just be the backfill, right?
Okay, yeah.
4 of whatever it is that you're going to use to produce your level 1 game. Ricky or that. Those are your choices. I don't make the rules.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, sure.
It's better if it's got attack power. If it doesn't, unlucky.
All right. Fair
So
enough.
we need that. Then, the next thing we need is, if possible, some way to get climaxes.
Okay.
So
like Kazuma.
Kazuma's good. Clocking ourselves to look at cards is good.
Okay, yeah.
There's a few profiles that do it. Unless you're running pants or bar, then you don't need it. If you're running pants or bar, then you're probably fine. You just need to keep some extra climaxes in your hand. But if you're running 8 door, 8 choice, whatever non-climax adding triggers, and your finisher doesn't have any way to get its own climax, if your finisher has check 3 and add 1, maybe you don't need that. But if you have no other way to get climaxes, you better have a 0 that can do it. Because you're going to get to the end of a game eventually where you just don't have it. And if you don't have an out to that, you just lose. It's just lose the game. So we never pick lose the game if we can help it.
All right, yeah. So let's say, yeah, all right, this is 8 door, and we don't have ways to get climax. How many copies of, let's say, Kazuma? Or
so,
even better, like Heiko Bells or whatever. It's like on play and on death, like
yeah.
one ditch
So
check
one, right?
Okay.
Figure it out.
All right, we're 8 cards in.
Yeah, figure out how to select cards.
Right.
We need some kind of 3,500 power fighter, unless we have some kind of overpowering other mechanic that allows us to produce tremendous hand size. It would be good to produce some kind of beater. So, like either a 3,500 power chaser, a 3,500 power like Aqua, or some kind of 3,500 plus big guy that we can run some copies of. If I think it will live, like if it has run, if it's Delicious Millum,
yeah,
then 4.
Yeah, for sure.
If not, if it's something like the Aang where it's like big and removes cards, but doesn't run, then 2.
Okay.
So
let's say it's 2.
2, right?
All right.
Some quantity of fighters.
So now we're at 10.
Right, 10.
All right, now we have 8 more cards.
Right. If our deck has weak deck speed,
yeah,
we're gonna need on death mill 4, add 1 a level 1 or lower.
Which your set surely has and does not have.
Right. What modern set wouldn't have that?
Yeah. Persona surely would have that mechanic.
Oh, God.
Albuda, 100%. Definitely has that mechanic.
In any case, those sets don't have that mechanic. Albuda gets to get away with it. Persona just gets to fucking fucked.
But anyways, yeah.
But
let's say,
a
we have that
way
card.
to hand filter our hand into something else.
Yeah,
Preferably something we can play.
Yeah.
If your deck has events, so much the better.
Yeah.
So 3 to 4 of that, I would guess.
Of like this on death Akatsuki, like on play Akatsuki, on attack Akatsuki, whatever.
Some kind of deck milling.
All right, let's say it's 3 and then we have 5 slots.
Sure. Let's get
oh wait, how many 3500s?
4 if it's Delicious Millum.
All right, let's say it's not.
If it's not 2.
Okay, 2. Okay. So I think that was 10 to 12 to 15, so we have 3 more cards.
Yeah. Rico, if it exists.
Okay.
Rico is another very nice way to translate
the hand filter
hands into something.
Yeah.
Right? And basically a Rico is a copy of every other 0 that we have in the waiting room. So that's good.
Not bad.
It allows us to attack more easily and flexibly, which is also good. So, yeah, 1 or 2 Rico. 2 Rico feels like the right number in most decks.
Final card.
And then, like, drop search,
Yeah.
especially if it's big. Like,
Okay, yeah.
the Miko, the Atla one, if it's 3K plus power and drop search. Kind of nice profile. Another hand fix. Hand fixing is so important in Weiss. It sucks terribly to have a hand you can't do anything with and no way to act with it. Now, alternatively, the other profile that would fit in this slot really well is the so-called Cowgirl profile, where we get to either draw a card and then reveal the top of his character, add and ditch, so we get 2 hand fixes. We also get a minor attempt to get a non-character card.
Yeah.
Either of those profiles. Not everyone has a Cowgirl profile. It's not printed in every deck.
Not everybody has a Rico profile.
But pretty much everybody has drop search.
Yes.
So, but they're not all big. So if you don't have Rico and you don't have any of these effects, JC is a pretty decent effect, especially if it has on play or on attack do something.
For sure.
Those effects are really powerful. So those last few slots can be filled by whatever your set particularly has. But in my opinion, you need a brainstorm that salvages, some way to clock yourself to produce cards in hand, preferably searchable. It's okay if it does something else. You need a way to set up your level 1 combo. It doesn't have to be a Ricky. Could be something else, as long as it's reliable. And then you need to fill the rest of the 0 game with either fighters, 0 that'll field plus you, or hand fixes that will make your 0 hand less shit, or you're going into your level 1 game less shit.
Absolutely.
I think that's the 0 game that we all desire in the game. If your deck does some other stuff outside of that, then it's usually game plan specific or it's mechanic specific.
Exactly.
So,
like the Review A choice thing, where I try to send as many level 0s into stock as possible.
yeah, and then free fresh for free.
Yeah, free fresh for 1 stock and cheat and all that good stuff.
Or like the Albuto one where you have this,
Get everything into memory as quickly as possible.
Or like we have this 0 that we got to run because it's got this powerful synergy with this other card.
Yeah. Stock it. Yeah. Good old stock it.
We love free money.
And it's a field plus.
Free clean money is the best money there is. Top stocking is not an equivalent.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's going to be it for our show today. So, tune in next time after your next deck out and make sure you have a level 0 lineup that supports your game plan. And don't you forget to take the refresh point.